Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 15, our final episode of season 1 for hashtag BlindTok. I'm your host, Murray Elbourne, with my co-host from the south, Miss TJ. Miss TJ, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, guys. Thank you.
And TJ, would you like to introduce our special guest for the last episode of season 1?
I would. This is my friend Torbit, you guys. I found Torbit on BlindTok, and he has retinitis pigmentosa as well. So, welcome, Torbit.
Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, guys, for having me on. I've been looking forward to this, and now that I know TJ is a real person, I'm ready to proceed
What a
and
bot.
move forward. She's not a bot. No, she's not a bot. Thank heavens.
I am not.
And we're both happy to have you, Torbit. Firstly, because I get some male companionship, which is very rare on this podcast, season 1.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
And TJ gets some RP love and support. So we're both excited for you to be on.
Exactly. When I saw Torbit when I was on TikTok one day and I ran across his profile and did a little digging and I saw he had retinitis pigmentosa and I was like, ooh, and it's a guy. I think we can work with that. So let's see if we can talk.
You're evening up
Absolutely.
demographics. Congratulations.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm glad to fit all the boxes there. I'm
Well,
happy to be
good.
here, excited and all that. But yeah, I didn't realize there were so many Star Guardians out there. Holy smokes! So
Exactly. It is. There's a gracious plenty of those out there and we don't get the cool name like they do. We've got to work on that. So
yeah.
So, Torbit, I'd like to start with your earlier years in life and kind of talk me through that and up until when you were diagnosed.
Okay.
Can you kind of give us a little backstory on you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm 37 now. I was born and raised in the Tidewater, Hampton Roads area of Virginia. I lived a very normal childhood. I was a part of the Boy Scouts. I was a part of all kinds of different organizations around town. I was extremely active and getting out and about. And the Boy Scouts sent me all over the United States, New Mexico, Canada, Minnesota, doing all kinds of high adventure stuff, and that
Nice.
was an amazing blessing. And looking back, I'm so glad I did because I still have all these amazing views and images in my head, and
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for that. I went to school here where I currently live now, and like I said, in the Hampton Roads area. I, I was not at all about school. I was not a fan. I wanted to be outside and doing things, and school was not a forte of mine.
Right.
And I knew very early on when I turned 16 years old, I discovered the fire service, and within 2 times of riding on a fire truck as kind of an observer through this program I was in as a young teenager, I was hooked. I knew that's what I wanted to
Mhm.
do for a career. I wanted to be a big bad fireman. It was just I was absolutely ate up with it. So that's what I did. Started volunteering, and early on, and then I told my parents when I turned 18 I wanted to make it a career of mine. They said that's fine, but we still want you to get some type of an education. So I did go to local community college here, and
Mhm.
I did end up getting my associate's degree. I tell people I have a 4-year degree, but it's really an associate's degree. It just took me 4 years to get it.
Gotcha.
So I have that in fire science technologies. I got that. And
Nice.
when I was about 21 years old, I found out I was going to be a father. Surprise, surprise.
Mhm.
And my son was the fire underneath my rear end to kind of push me to start that career and get hired on as a firefighter here for my local fire department, which was a dream of mine since I was a young child. Um, yeah,
So
and
before you went to college,
mhm.
did you have any vision issues at all? When did
you
that
know, I,
start for you?
so it really didn't. I had corrective lenses and
Hmm.
contacts and glasses. I can remember a handful of times kind of thinking, I really can't see well at night sometimes. Um, but I think y'all just had somebody on here recently talking about, well, Yeah, but everybody has a hard time seeing at night, So
Right.
I kind of was like, oh yeah, maybe that's what it is. And I went to the doctor and I mentioned it briefly to him. And I remember him doing the kind of the test where they hold the hands up here. How many fingers am I holding up out here? How am I down here? Am I wiggling? Which hand am I wiggling? And um, so I never really had anything too crazy go on. So yeah, but yeah, unfortunately, nothing too out there to really make me think that I had an issue going on.
So how old were you when you were diagnosed?
23 or 24. I honestly don't remember exactly.
Gotcha.
That was a bit of a blur at that time, if you will.
Yeah, I know. We have a tendency, our brains have a tendency of kind of blocking that stuff out, right? Like these big life events that happen, we can kind of push it to the side, I guess you could say, and don't want to think about it anymore. We purge that information. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember the day very, very, very vividly, but all the details, absolutely not. I couldn't tell you anything else.
So leading up until your diagnosis, you really just needed nothing more than glasses. Thought you had a little bit of a problem at night. See, that was me as well. I didn't have a clue, and I actually even had LASIK surgery done when my daughter was 2. So that was back in 2004. So, I still, no one said anything to me about it. I had no idea.
Right. And before any of this, I had no idea that there was even anything out there other than
like this.
Yeah, no, Stargard's, retinitis pigmentosa, aniridia, anything. Like I was literally blind to everything else that's out there. I figured, if you're blind, you just wake up blind one day. I had no idea.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty confronting, isn't it? Because you're right, you don't know, and you wouldn't know what it's like. And so you went into the fire service. How old were you when you actually got assigned a brigade and actually went into the fire service full time?
When I got hired on with the fire department, I was 21. Yeah.
So you've been in the environment for kind of 3 years. I'm always fascinated with firemen and firewomen. Like, it takes an enormous amount of courage to run into a building that's on fire. And I'd love to be able to understand, what made you be drawn to that, and then, how that was being assigned to a firehouse, and how that kind of journey was for you originally.
It was an incredible. So what gives you the courage? I don't have an answer for that, Murray.
No.
I was young, and if my vision was still this, and if it was basic, if I had normal vision, I'd say I would still be doing that job easily. Yeah. And then you don't even think about the dangers of the job, honestly. And I was, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I mean, it's just, you don't think about it. You get super focused on what task at hand that needs to be done and completed, and you just go do it. And I mean, the fact that it is dangerous, and the chicks like to wave at you when you're driving down the road hauling tail with the lights and sirens. I mean, that's a plus, right?
Right. A good conversation starter in the bar after work, I imagine.
Happened more than once, I'll tell you that. But yeah, so it's a brotherhood. It's a true family environment. Yeah, I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, you would spend a third of your life with those guys and gals every day. So they know more about you a lot of times than your own family does. So
you're right. I imagine there has to be an enormous amount of trust in each other to be in that environment that's always so dangerous, and kind of be assigned with each other to not only look out for yourself and then try and rescue people that might need it or put out the fire, but also look out for each other.
Absolutely. Exactly. Absolutely. I got to be able to trust the person that's going in with me, that if I go down, they're going to have me be able to get me out of there. So absolutely.
Another quick question I had for you about the actual in fire situation. Obviously, smoke, it's pretty prevalent. It can get really dark in areas. Did you find yourself in an environment where the vision before diagnosis kind of gave you some thoughts that maybe you're in a situation that you were uncomfortable with and weren't sure kind of what was going on, if it was very dark with the smoke, or did you work nights at all, things like that?
Yeah, no, we work 24-hour shifts. So, I mean, I could get a call at 8 o'clock in the morning when the shift started, or I could get a call at 3 o'clock in the morning, right before the shift ended. So it didn't really matter. Now, what I'll say about that is about 90% of what we would do is EMS. And where I live is a combined department. So it's fire and EMS. So about 90% of the calls you run are EMS, and only very few are actual true fires. So I only ran maybe, I'm several fires, but, in training and whatnot, you get put in dark and smoky environments. You do live fire training and so on and so forth. And I have to say, it wouldn't have led me to believe I had any sort of eye condition, because truly what I was doing while I was searching in a building was exactly what I was doing when I was at home running my hand down a wall.
Yeah.
So I never would have guessed anything. Honestly, it probably made me better at doing searches in a building with smoke filled, because I was doing that and not even realizing it. So
right.
It's eerily similar. And one of those things, hindsight, looking back on it, it's like, wow, I essentially was doing the same thing at home that I was doing while I was at work,
It's almost muscle memory, right? It's like you trained in an environment.
Yeah.
I played a sport called goalball for a long time, and
I've heard.
And you're blindfolded, right? And so you can't see on court. My first coach taught me so well to be able to visualize what was going on. And so whenever I played, it didn't even feel like I had a blindfold on, and I played with my eyes closed. It was all just, up here, your kind of brain adjusts and adapts. And we talk about memorization and,
yes,
all these things about how we can't see something and we fill in the gaps with our brain. And it really is true.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that, I don't know if it was a blind thing or a firefighter thing or what, but I could quite literally, like to this day, I can tell you exactly the layout of the burn building we'd go to that I did a 16-week fire academy in, or that we did live fire training. I know you go down the stairs and then you go take a left, go 2 or 3 steps down, and there's an open room. Then you go to the left and there's an open room, and you go through the next door and I have it all still pictured in my head. Yeah. And I could go and still do exactly what I used to do even to this day. Yeah. So I don't know if it was the firefighter thing that helped me with the memorization and layouts of places, or if it was a blind thing. But I mean, it didn't really matter. It doesn't matter really. I mean, they coincide with one another, and it's kind of crazy how that happened.
Exactly. Yeah. I can totally relate to that. I'm in the same boat as you. Like I didn't realize that I couldn't see in the dark any more than anyone else could. Like I didn't think anyone could. So it was, it was just a thing I dealt with, and I learned to memorize things as well. I think we do, when they do on certain shows where they put people in a room and make them get out of the room, like the escape rooms, and like on Big Brother when they're doing competitions and the room is completely dark in there and there's no light and they're blindfolded and everything. I'm like, shoot, that's nothing for me. Like I would kill that.
To do that and easily. Let's go do that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think that TJ was one of those nurses who would come in at 3 o'clock in the morning and with her massive flashlight that she would have been carrying, and like shining it all in your eyes and waking you up.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to.
Right. I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, it's hilarious. Absolutely.
Tripping over.
Well, so it's funny you say that because I know we've kind of skipped ahead a little bit here, but after diagnosis, I mean, that was the thing for me. Like I was tripping over bags inside people's houses, and I would literally strategize like, okay, I'm going to let this person go in first, and I'm going to follow behind them because I didn't want to be the first one in, and just slam into a coffee table or slam into a trip over a rug or. It was just crazy. It was crazy. Exactly. But yeah, absolutely.
So I worked night shift for a while at the hospital, and I would choose everyone knew that if I was coming in, I was assigned to the ICU, because in ICU on night shift, they don't ever, there's no reason to turn the lights off. 90% of my patients were on a ventilator and were already knocked out. So the nurses could work with all the lights on. So it was easier for me on night shift just to work in there because I didn't have to worry about running into anything or tripping over a vent or knocking, an IV pole over. So it was just easier for me.
Yeah.
So everybody just knew that's what I did.
Well, it's funny you say that because, one of the biggest calls that we would run is in the fire services is lift assists. And you go into people's houses when they trip or fall. And oftentimes, if they're live alone, they're not going to have a light on. So I remember coming in and bringing in like a big old box. They call them box lights. Yeah. It's a light you would take into a fire. And my captain, I remember, he was like, "What in the? Why are you bringing that?" Yeah, I was like, or I be driving a fire truck and I cut the big front light on in the front of the truck, and it's like a train light going down the road. It lights the world up. And he's like, "You don't need that," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, I do.
I do."
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
It's funny how we compensate and then, how we just do things as a second nature. I think that's one part of blindness and low vision that, the people who are sighted don't understand a lot of. We talk about even just trying to promote the fact that vision loss is a spectrum. And even if you've got the same eye condition, you're going to see very differently in certain circumstances. And it's so hard to just explain those things to people who have never experienced it, but they're real, right? It's an everyday thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, TJ and I have the same eye condition, but I know that we see totally differently. And
exactly.
People don't always quite understand that. And I have good eye days and bad eye days. I'm sure just like you do, TJ, and trying to explain that to somebody. It's like, well, wait a second. Hey, I can't explain it myself. It's just some days I wake up and I feel like I can see a little bit better. Some days I wake up and it's like, things are still going south.
Exactly. I can totally relate to that. And if it's super cloudy outside, like sometimes that works for me to my benefit. Like I feel like I can see better sometimes on a cloudy day because sometimes too much sun. Terrible. In your eyes, it's awful. It hurts, and it'll, it blinds you even worse. So there's no happy medium, and every day is different. So it's hard to tell someone what your needs are on a daily basis when you don't even know yourself. It makes
for
it
me.
hard.
I love a cloudy, rainy day. Now I used to hate them. Now I'm like, bring it on. Let's go. Yeah. Absolutely.
Less glare for sure.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So after the diagnosis, kind of, how did that change? What immediately happened that kind of sticks in your mind that you had to adjust with, and how did you react to kind of being told you have retinitis pigmentosa?
So I can take you through the diagnosis real quick if you want. That's the date, a day that will live in infamy for sure. I remember I was actually out at the local amusement park here with my family and my former mother-in-law. I kept running into people out there, and of course everybody's like, this drunk guy, and it was at night, and it was a Halloween event, and I kept bumping into people, and I remember just thinking, why can I not see anybody? So my former mother-in-law told me, why don't you go to this doctor in town, and he can help you out and maybe see what's going on. Well, it was a retinal and glaucoma specialist, and that was exactly what I needed. I didn't know that. I just assumed I was going in there and this doctor was going to, update my prescription or give me some drops to help me be able to see at night or whatever. And I got in there and they sat me down and I gave them my signs and symptoms. And remember they said, all right, let's do this test. And it was a field view test. And I was like, all right, that sounds good. I put my chin on the chin rest, and she said, okay, stare at the black dot there. And every time you see a white flashlight, click the little clicker thing. I said, okay, absolutely, sounds good. So I remember sitting there, and 5 minutes went by, and a couple more minutes went by, and I remember sitting up, and I looked over, and I said, hey, when is this test going to start? And she said, it started about 5-10 minutes ago. And I was like, uh-oh. And so I remember going back to the waiting room, and they called me back. I came back, and the doctor came in, and he shined a really, really bright light in my eyes. I'll never forget it because I had tears streaming down my face, not from crying, but just from how sensitive it was to my eyes. And he he sat back down. He said, quite literally said, "You have what's called retinitis pigmentosa. You're going to go blind. There is no cure. You shouldn't be driving, and you probably shouldn't be a firefighter anymore. And do you have any questions?" And I was just like that. Just like that. And it seems like I've listened to all the other podcasts before this one, and it seems like the bedside manner of some of these doctors is terrible.
I was about to say, I can't tell you how many times Murray and I have heard that over and over again. The initial news that people have gotten, it baffles me.
And being on the medical side of things, I mean,
exactly.
I was always told to be honest with the patients, and I always was. But there is an approach and a bedside manner, and that man did not have it. He had a special name in my head that I'm not going to say on here because my kids might watch this. But it was that was rough. That was rough. I mean, I remember calling my wife at the time, and she came and she had a lot of the same questions I did, and the man was just like, "There's nothing you can do. You can, if you want to be diagnosed officially, you can go down to Duke and get." And he didn't tell us at the time, but it was an ERG test, an electroretinogram test to basically confirm diagnosis. So of course, that was essentially, to him, that was all we could do.
Right.
I feel like, I talk to a lot of clinicians now, and we're going to Seattle Children's Hospital in September to do some training with the clinicians, and they want to learn better. Like, I think there's an appetite now that they understand that how their bedside manner is and how they approach diagnosis is not ideal. And they don't really understand. I mean, their job is to look at your eye, right? It's not to resource or understand that, but they should, to a degree, have knowledge about, okay, this person's a firefighter. It's his whole life. I'm taking away not only your driver's license and your independence, but I'm also taking away your career. Like, might need to be a little bit, to your point, more understanding about that, and then give you some hope rather than just say, well, you're going to go blind. There's nothing you can do. Too bad. See ya.
Exactly.
Right. And that's basically what it felt like. Absolutely.
I had the same, I can understand that. And I think the disconnect is from my perspective, I think, being in the medical field, other physicians, when they're handing a diagnosis to someone and it is life altering, it all is dependent upon the physician and just their general personality and their character, right? So you may run across someone who's like super compassionate, and then you'll have some who are not as compassionate. But I think what it would be mindful for them to think of is, what if you were, how would you want to be told that information? That's kind of what I put myself in my patient's position. If I was in their position, if I was being cared for by me, how would I want to be told that information? And I think that's overlooked in a lot of cases. Would you want to be handed the news that you're going blind? And by the way, you probably shouldn't practice medicine anymore. Sorry, too bad, so sad. Take some vitamin A and call me tomorrow.
Right.
I think, I don't think they think about the finality that it hands people when you absolutely are blindsided,
Absolutely. And to this day, I cannot stand going to any doctor.
It will do that. It will. And
it was because of that. Because I have self-diagnosed white coat syndrome, because I'm afraid that every time I go in to see a doctor, I'm going to come out with some life-altering disease or something. I know it's really not going to happen, but I go in there, my blood pressure will be through the roof, my heart rate will be through the roof. It's all because of this one doctor who just had just a poor bedside manner. He was a phenomenal doctor. He's very smart. Yeah. But I mean, that's the challenge, lifelong.
Right? Yeah, I think that's the challenge, is when you find people who, in a lot of cases are very academic and do their job very well, they don't have that compassion. It's just about the result, right? It's not about the person. And I think we need to change that narrative a little bit and really do some more training with these ophthalmologists and specialists to be able to understand that they're people, And so I hear this quite a bit with car accidents. and spinal cord injuries and things.
Sure.
Is that, you know, when people are in rehabs and you talk to PTs, physical therapists about, well, you know, they get a diagnosis. Your job is to come in and kind of take away some of the sadness and talk about things that they can do to be able to get back up and rehab and, you know, do the things where in your cases and my case, in some ways, you know, it's not necessarily going to get better. So how can we mitigate that diagnosis? And they could talk about, you know, things like blind sports and Paralympics and things that are going to motivate somebody again to say, okay, I might be losing my vision, but there's still some things that might motivate me that I can do, you know, work-wise.
Absolutely. I think that's a phenomenal idea because essentially how it was given to me, and I've heard this time and time again, I can't stand when people say this now, but I get it. It was given to me like a death sentence, right? And when through this guy's eyes, the way he was making it sound, it's like it's the end of the world. You're done. You're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to be, you know, sitting at home and, you know, a slug on a couch all day, every day. And so if we can change that, because if it's approached that, hey, look, it's not the end of the world. Is it going to be hard? And are there going to be challenging days and tough days? Absolutely. However, look at what these options that you have are. You know, you got this, you got that. It kind of reminds me, this is just coming in my head, of the kind of back to what you were saying about spinal cord injuries, the movie Remember the Titans. When Gary Bertier gets into a car accident and they're all surrounding him in the bed in the hospital, and he's like, you know, hey, look, they got sports. They got Olympics and stuff like that. It's like that's it, man. That's what people need to be focusing on right after diagnosis. Absolutely.
I remember, you know, the Paralympics kind of started after World War II, and there was a German doctor that got reassigned to England in a city called Mandeville, and the Paralympics were originally the Mandeville Games. And he had so much more success with his patients in getting them rehabbed and getting them motivated to do things than any other doctor in the world, because he used sport as a catalyst to be able to motivate people and get them out and doing things and take away from, you know, being in a chair. That his patients were really rehabbing and doing great things. And so it just kind of goes to show that how you talk about that, and then obviously what you've done since with the things that you've been able to do, like paddle boarding and the different things that you do, you know, it isn't as bad as you were first told on that day. You know,
absolutely not.
Able to do a heck of a lot of stuff, and you know, and careers as well. We can go into different things and get trained to do different things. And so I'm just, you know, I'm a big advocate in that it doesn't need to be that way, but when it's put that way to you from day one, that really is tough to overcome mentally, to get your ass into gear basically and stop feeling sorry for yourself and show that you can still be the person that you always were. And obviously you're a very motivated person. So like you didn't lose that, which is really great to see.
Exactly. I'd like to know, Torbit, once after you were given the diagnosis and it kind of sank in for you, take us from there. Like, what did you go through? I don't know about you, but I went through a grieving process, and I went through a mourning process, and I went through all of those things. And you know,
oh, for sure.
How did you?
For sure.
How did you navigate that part of it? And when what was the pivotal point? What was your turning point? I guess.
Oh man. So for me, I did the very typical, what I call the typical male thing to do, and I ignored it. I ignored it until 2019 when I went back to that doctor. So like 2013-ish, 14 to 2019. I ignored it for all that time. I second guessed myself constantly driving. And I just, I didn't, it was a struggle. It was a struggle. I coped in all the wrong ways. I felt sorry for myself. But I mean, life still goes on. I was at that point, then a father to 2, soon to be 3 young men. so even once you get diagnosed, life doesn't stop, right? And that's the other thing.
Right.
You got to keep going forward. You have kids that are watching you. You have a family to raise. And there was no one out there to teach me how to do that. So I just ignored it for a long time. I would go to work. I never told anyone other than my family, and a select few friends knew about it. That was it. I didn't want to say anything to anybody. I didn't want it to be real, because if you talk about it, then it makes it real. So that's what I did for a while. And I went through a lot of life changes. 2017, they told me, basically my captain came up to me at the time and said, "Hey, they want you to go get your eyes checked." And I knew at that point, because I knew what I had, I knew what the problem was, and I knew my career was done. I was very fortunate. The fire chief, who's still a fire chief for the department to this day, helped me out big time, helped me doing a lateral transfer up to the 911 center, the emergency communications center. So I started in July or August of 2017, I started becoming a 911 dispatcher. And that's a fantastic job. It's a very admirable job, but it wasn't for me long term. And I say that because it was very, very difficult going from being out and in the hot zone and hands-on to being on a phone with somebody who's going through a traumatic event, and you know exactly what to do and how to do it, but you can't. Right. So I did that for up until April of 2024. But it was a challenging time. I coped in a lot of, like I said, a lot of the wrong ways. Alcohol, just trying to find myself. I was always a physically active person, but the one thing that I kind of looked back on with having a degenerative eye disease, and this is one thing I really tell people all the time, acceptance comes in stages, right? Especially with a degenerative disease, because I accepted the fact that I couldn't be a firefighter anymore, and now I was going to be a dispatcher. Okay, so that portion was starting to happen. Then I accepted the fact that I needed to start using a white cane every day. Then I accepted the fact that I had to stop driving, and then I had to just so many different aspects. And it was like you become straight and good with one, and then another thing happens, and you got to learn to accept that. So it's not like one day you wake up and say, "I'm good to go. I'm going to accept this. Yeah. I'm happy. I'm going to smile." No, absolutely not. It comes in stages, and there's going to be more stages to come in the future. Yeah, but that's one thing that I really, really learned, because a lot of people are like, how are you good with it? I'm like, it didn't happen overnight. This is years and years and years of work put into my mental health, to everything, to be able to get to where I am now. So
I want to talk about that a little bit, because I think that's a really powerful thing to talk about. And the parts that get stripped away from you and take away from yourself. And I think that's the hardest part for people to maintain, that you define you, not your vision defines you. But it's difficult to do when your whole being kind of gets stripped away. And so I think, like, if you can talk us through a little bit of that, that's really going to help a lot of people, because being able to maintain that balance and still do the parts that do define you, to be able to boost it up. It's kind of like a scoreboard, right? Is you're taking things away, but then hopefully you're able to adapt and put things on. Like, we had this great guest, Anna, and Anna talked about preparation in college to be able to get the job that she wanted, and what she did to do that. And then she talked about her running and how she adapts her running. And so she's kind of, lost things, but also put things up to be able to counteract the losses to some degree. And I think I talk a lot about that, but it's really an important message. What things did you do when all of this stuff was happening to be able to also pump yourself up and do things that made you feel good?
So initially, what I did, so throughout the process, so life happens, right? I went through a divorce in 2019. And so, I was trying to deal with the stress of that. So I started becoming super active. I got remarried. My second wife had introduced me to a book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And then another book, Discipline Equals Freedom by Jocko Willink. And those books really are what started to truly change me in my life. I wish I could say from there on things were good to go and got better. I still, was drinking pretty heavily daily, but I was also starting the path of finding myself mentally and doing things mentally that pushed me. I signed up for multiple races to do 5Ks, 10Ks, 8Ks, a couple of half marathons, did a couple of ultra marathons. So I just started really dabbling in the mental toughness side of things. And one of the things that Goggins has in his book is that, we really only tap into about 40% of what we can do physically. When you think you're done, you still have about 60% left in the tank. And I wanted to kind of go out and find that.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And that's when I signed up for those ultra marathons. And yeah, I found it. That was pretty wild and insane. But, I just really realized the massive importance of how powerful our mind is. And over the years, up until just a couple of years ago, I really just kind of adopted the stoic mindset of 90% of what happens in our lives we cannot control. There's only 10% of the things we can control that happen in our lives, and the biggest one is our mind. And so that's what I started to focus on. I started to focus on things that I could do every single day, which is, I can control the fact that of what I eat. I can control how I feel. I can control forgiveness. I can control happiness. So I just really focused on that. And that's kind of what's gotten me to where I am today. And I just get out and I try to do multiple things every day. I try to have something to look forward to every single day. I try, whether or not it's a cup of coffee in the morning or it's a trip somewhere or whatever, I always try to have something to look forward to, always looking forward to the next thing. And then also there's the fact of trying to push myself physically and mentally every single day. Every day. And a lot of that is my kids. My kids are watching, right? And that has been my driving force. So when you say, what has helped you with a lot of that, it's been my children, no doubt. That's the biggest thing. Not just for potential if something were to happen to their vision, but they need to see that life is going to throw you curveballs. And if they're looking at me and I'm a slug on a couch, like I said earlier, and down in the dumps, they're going to think that that's okay. Yeah. And I want to be that person that they can look on when things come about in their life, that they can look back and be like, Dad was going blind and he was still getting after it every single day. I'm going to be all right. That's a lot of my driving force every single day for sure.
Yeah, it's a good message. I think everyone has that different motivation, right? Is what drives them and what gets them up. I think you're right, and not a lot of people do this, is you do have to have things to look forward to and strive towards. If you don't have goals and you don't have self-motivation to get to places that you can feel good about yourself, that's when that downhill slope happens significantly.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And it can happen so quick before you even know it.
Yeah,
it really, really can. I mean, it can spiral. And one thing I heard TJ say often is how she was a recluse, and I was a recluse for a long time. And we are not meant to, in my opinion, we are put on this earth to connect with people and to help each other out in time of hardships and needs and all that stuff. And that's a lot of, also for me now, it's like, I'm not that recluse anymore. I'm trying to get out and talk with people and educate people, educate and motivate. Those are my two things that I try to do every single day. And you can probably see it in my videos, right? But I'm trying to get out here and just connect, and going to the gym every single day has really, really brought that out. And I can attribute so many wonderful things happening in my life now to just simply going to the gym and connecting with folks every single day and not being that recluse, because that is a dangerous place to be.
It is. It is. And I'm one of the most outgoing people that I know. Like I will talk to this wall if it gives me 2 seconds of attention. I mean, I'm just that kind of person. And I
Right.
went from being that way and being surrounded every day, in a career that I loved and hanging out
Yeah.
with, everybody on shift and things like that, to absolutely just sitting here because I felt like this was the only safe place for me to be, and
Hmm.
I just couldn't shake it. I couldn't get out of it, and
Right.
it before I knew it, time was passing, and then I look around and I'm
Yes.
like, oh my, my daughter is like in high school, and she's going to be graduating and she's going to be gone before long. I have so many
Mhm.
things I want to see and do,
Absolutely.
so.
I can absolutely agree with that 100%.
And I
Absolutely.
think
I was letting time pass by so quickly. And I'm just like,
yes.
what are you doing, dude? You need to get your rear end up and get it
Hmm.
in gear and let's go do stuff. Go be active. Go get healthy. Go
Hmm.
just have something to look forward to every day. Make a goal and crush it. Make another goal, crush it. And that's not just for blind people, that's everybody.
Yep.
I mean, truly,
Everybody.
you know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. I think training with this one's for Murray. My C and I cane training that I did
I love
It's
she
all
like
right,
was
you put the
Domingo. It's
extra
all right.
extra southern accent into it as well. So it makes it perfect. C and
Seeing I.
A.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was the most liberating thing I could have done for myself, because I was no longer in my very first outing with it was to Yankee Stadium in New York. So I mean,
Heck
it
yeah.
was like, I mean, I when I started training with that thing, I felt so confident. Like there was nowhere that I couldn't go. Like, put me
Hmm.
out there, let me hit the streets.
Absolutely. That's the thing. So I will tell people, if anyone is listening to this and you're debating on whether or not you should or shouldn't be having your cane with you every day, you probably should have it with you every day at that point and just do it. Because I'm telling you, when I felt like Moses with his staff in the Red Sea, the first time I went in that
Mm.
food line with my bonus son, man, we were walking through the aisles and I could still see a little bit, right? So I saw the people just split like the Red Sea,
Moving.
baby. And I call it, my kids and I call it the magic stick now, because it's incredible. I had people apologizing to me for me running
Right.
into them, and I'm like, no,
Right.
that's my fault.
It's my fault. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I mean, it's so. I mean, like you said, liberating. And I
Hmm.
wish I could say I took it on the maiden voyage and I kept it in my hand from then on. It took me some time, but
Yeah.
the sooner you make it a part of your daily life,
Hmm.
the better
Hmm.
off and the more freedom you'll end up having for sure.
Can you talk
Exactly.
to us about how you got to that point? Who you contacted? Did you work with vocational rehabilitation in Virginia and the agency to get
Yeah.
this stuff done?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the cane was purchased on Amazon by my second wife, and it sat on top of the dog crate for a long, long time. I bring it out every now and again, but eventually it became part of my everyday life. Um, I did contact the Department for the Blind and Visually Impaired, as they're called here in Virginia, DBVI. Um, and I had a vocational counselor that I worked with to try to help me. This is actually before I even got out of dispatch,
Right.
because I knew it was eventually going to come. I just didn't know when, right?
Hmm.
So I worked with her for literally years to try to find new career paths. And that part was a little bit frustrating. I didn't have the
Hmm.
best experience there.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I'll be very honest. Other parts of DBVI were fantastic. That one wasn't. I mean, she quite literally, told me to Google jobs for blind people, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's such a
And I took,
frustrating thing. Just while we're talking about this, I have to say this,
yeah,
and I just get really frustrated because I work in this space. This is my company,
Yeah.
and
Right.
they put such a parameter around people. And instead of building them up and doing the vocational rehabilitation that they're
mhm.
supposed to be doing, they're like, well, you can go and work in a grocery store, or go work in a burger place, or
Yeah, exactly.
get a customer service job on the phone. No,
That's exactly right, Murray.
like,
That is. I was told, hey, well, we can put you at CVS being a customer service representative, and
yeah,
not to take away from those jobs.
yeah,
those are fantastic jobs for some people, absolutely. And if people need to be put into them, absolutely. However, for me, with my background, I felt like I could provide so much more, and I really felt like I was just trying to be. They were just trying to
Look at
check a
all those
box with me.
skills that you had, Torben, for such a long time.
Right,
Those tactical skills, like.
right.
And that's where people get undersold through the agencies. And, I just beg that if agencies are watching this, we have to change the narrative on the agency. You have to open up your mind to enable people to grow as people and not focus on just the blindness and low vision. But, I've met some such intelligent blind people who just do amazing at school, A-grade students, go in and want to do things in universities. And people are saying, well, you probably can't do that. No, that's such BS.
Yeah.
It really annoys.
It really is.
When counselors don't understand the bigger picture. And I'm just thankful that, agencies like mine with lived experience like I have now can talk to these kids in transition and adults and say, you can do whatever the heck you want. And, don't let people stop you from doing what you want to do, and find your passion and be curious. Like that's the other thing is we sit at home sometimes and we wait for things to come to us. No, be that self-starter that you talked about.
Right.
Research about things that you're passionate about, you're interested about, can be anything you want, and then see where you can network to be able to know people in those industries and start to talk to them and build the capacity to go work and do what you want. So
absolutely.
I'm a huge believer in that, and I am really challenging, and Ameribility is really challenging agencies that we work with to think outside the box on those traditional careers for people with blindness and low vision. That time is gone. We need to be rethinking about that. Music is a big one. I'm affiliated to EQ Records, that's owned and founded by an individual with Leber's syndrome. And he self-taught himself how to be a music producer, and has now founded a record label. And he's a financial wealth management owner of a business. And so he has one of the more successful wealth management companies. And he's been legally blind since he was 17. And he just goes and does it, right? There's so many examples of that happening in life that people don't see, that people need to understand is possible.
Sure.
So music was a big one that we had a big argument about at the agency. And they said, well, we don't really think of that as a career. And I said, well, you don't think sound engineering or music production is a career? Where have you been? Like trying to, well, we could see them doing like voiceover or, things like that. I'm like, your narrow-mindedness is causing people not to be successful.
Exactly. I'd
love to be a sound guy for Teddy Swims or something. Gosh, like really? That's amazing.
I'd love to see you work Pro Tools. That'd be entertaining for me.
Yeah.
Oh man. So my experience, it wasn't the best, and it's still not the best. I'm still in it just because I'm trying to get some traction, but honestly, that's one of the reasons I was just started posting to social media and TikTok and Instagram. And it's because people told me so long, they're like, you just do it. You need to tell your story. You need to get out there. You need to be a motivational speaker and everything. And I mean, I'll tell my kids like social media is devil. Don't do it. Don't be, you're not going to be a gazillionaire on YouTube or anything like that. And then here dad is, putting this stuff out and
content driven.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I mean, back to the stuff with the Department for the Blind. I did have an orientation and mobility cane training. 2 to be exact, 2 whole cane training episodes, or not episodes, but just days with this guy, a really nice guy. But I mean, my vision also wasn't then what it is now. So he's like, yeah, no, you're good to go. So a lot of the cane skills that I learned were either from just trial and error and getting out and going for long walks, or YouTube. And that's essentially the orientation and mobility skills that I had. One of the best things that DBVI gave me was training with JAWS. And I did that training. It was a 9-month training. I finished it in 3 months.
Wow.
Basically made learning JAWS my job. Essentially, I did it Monday through Thursday for between like 2 and 3 hours a day with this instructor. His name's Jerry, um, and that man, he also had RP. He lived probably about 45 minutes or so from me, and that man just truly changed my life. He, everybody kind of has that moment that they look back on, and it's like, yeah, that's where I really started to shift my focus and whatnot. And he told me something one day, I'll never forget it. He said, "You have got to accept the fact that you are a blind guy living in a sighted world. And the sooner you accept that, the easier your life will be." And I mean, damn if he wasn't right. And that man taught me. I say everybody needs a Jerry because that man, he pushed me, and then I ended up going and doing some orientation and mobility training with him, and he's the one who taught me about traffic patterns and listening to traffic and near traffic, far traffic, and cane work, and put the sleep shades on me. And we did end up in the middle of a traffic circle at one point, which was pretty wild. But that's just part of being blind. But I learned more from that man, orientation and mobility skills, than I ever learned from anyone else sighted or who taught me how to use a cane. That man taught me so much.
I just wanted to touch on a point here because I think it's also a really interesting point. Is I see so many people with lost vision who have moved from large print or adaptive, tools like Zoom text or Fusion to JAWS, and they really struggle and they don't like it, or they're Braille users and they're trying to learn JAWS, and it's overwhelming to people, right? And so I'm really interested in how you just decided, bang, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to know it inside out. Like what were the things that you could tell other people who are starting on that JAWS journey that is really important? Because I feel like, especially in school, I see a lot of students who kind of don't use it, will go back to Braille instead of doing it because it's easier, what they know, and don't embrace it, and then forget how to use it altogether. And they've got a laptop with JAWS, which can be really productive for them, but they're not using it. So tell us about your embracing that.
So it's kind of funny. I knew about JAWS probably from when I was in community college, before I found out about anything like this, about my eye condition or anything. There was a blind guy that I became friends with, and I was just super intrigued by him. He was a total blind, been blind since birth. And I quite literally remember him having JAWS on his computer and just going through. I remember hearing it just and so that's how I found out about JAWS.
Right.
So I knew that was an option out there. So when I called the state and told them, and they were like, "Yeah, we can get you in doing this training." And from day one, I was just loved it because I was able to get back on the screen literally with my eyes closed and navigate a whole computer again. I mean, not instantly, but just to be able to go through and do a Word document and copy and paste and not have to invert my colors and not have to make the mouse the whole size of the screen and and get my face 2 feet just to make sure that I was reading it correctly. It was just it was, I can't really describe it. It's one of those things that just gave you back your independence again. It just felt that way, right? I didn't have to have someone come look over my shoulder. I didn't have to struggle. And it
seems like that's your future career, is being a JAWS instructor. I'd like to have you for a JAWS instructor.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I mean, I can try, Murray. I can tell you this: Excel is not my strong point, but Excel wasn't my strong point either when I could still see. But I don't know. It just came very naturally to me, and I think one of those things, like you guys have seen, like I push myself every single day, and I was constantly doing the lessons and doing over and over and over and over and over again, just so I could learn the different keystrokes and the different commands to use. And that's how I was able to get it done in just a short period of time, because I literally made it my job, like I said. So for anybody out there who's struggling with it, I would say, not to take away from Braille, or anything else, but step outside your comfort zone. And if it's something that you don't like doing it, you need to do it more. And that's what I would tell people. And you just got to give it a chance. But it is like, it's a skill. It truly is a skill. So if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And I would just tell people, even if you can still see a little bit, learn it and get JAWS, just because it can be very, very freeing to be able to freely navigate a computer again. It really, I mean, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important, like you just said, even what usable vision, if you have usable vision left, like whenever they suggested for me to begin training with all of these things and they first reached out to my state's vocational rehabilitation office, I mean, I had a lot of usable vision left. And so it felt awkward for me, I guess you could say. Because I didn't feel like I truly needed it at that time. And I don't know that I absorbed as much as what I probably should have, because I had that block up thinking, I don't really need, this is really redundant. Hindsight, though, the smaller my field of vision got and the more cloudy my central vision got and the more I lost, it was so much better for me to have learned certain things where I still did have the vision, so that I'm a visual learner anyway. So it was almost like seeing it and doing it over and over again while I still had a decent amount of vision left. I say that with cane training as well. Even if, and my instructor blindfolded me all the time because I probably had too much vision when I first started with it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think, and that was a huge help to me. It pushed me. I was scared, naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's how a lot of people are. And I get it. I totally get it. Between being scared to use the cane for whatever reason, being scared to learn voiceover on the phone or JAWS.
But when she blindfolded me, it scared me so bad that I learned to trust the cane. I learned to rely on that I wouldn't fall into a hole. So that pushed me forward, I think. So I highly recommend doing it at whatever stage you get diagnosed or whatever.
Absolutely.
I think it's very much needed. So what did you do after that? I know so tell us about your guide dog experience.
Oh man, that was that right there has been a total game changer. You talk about earning trust. So that experience, it took about a year. In March of 2024, I applied for a guide dog at the Seeing Eye, which is in New Jersey, Morristown, New Jersey. Ironically enough, here where I live in Virginia, my neighbors across the street from me are puppy raisers for the Seeing Eye. So all these folks volunteer to raise puppies from 8 weeks old until they're between like 12 and 14 months old, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I know somebody's going to say something, but they teach them like the basic skills, and they interact the dogs with other dogs and get them out in public and whatnot. So those puppy raisers are phenomenal people. Hats off to them. I don't exactly know why I chose Seeing Eye at first. I just, it kind of popped up, and I read about them. They're the oldest guide dog school out there. They've been around since 1929. I believe they're the oldest, in the United States. I want to say the world, maybe. Again, don't quote me. I should know this. But anyway, that experience for me was dang, go on. Here we go. Anyways, life changing. It took me about a year to get into the school. I'll never forget when they called me, and they said, "Hey, can you be up here in 2 weeks?" And I said, "Hell yeah, I'll be there." I coordinated with my kid's mom to make sure she was cool with it. She was real supportive. Absolutely go. I got them. She knew how important it was for me to get a guide dog. So I went up there, and you get there on a Monday, and they do what's called a Juno walk, where they take the harness, they see they try to gauge your pace and pull to make sure it's what it was. She actually had come out in 2 months prior to do a walk with me here and to make sure that I was blind enough to have a guide dog. This is the one time in my life where I was like, please God, let me be blind.
Let me be blind.
So sure enough, I was. My instructor's name is Jane. She came out. Shout out Jane. That woman is a godsend. So anyway, she had come out and she was like, "You're good. I'm going to recommend you." And I was like, "Look, you have a class in April. Can you do whatever you can to get me into that class?" And I knew it was a long shot.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I mean, I was just able to get into that class just by the skin of my teeth for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because Jane hooked me up or if it just happened to be that way. But we got there. She came in Monday. We got there and they did another Juno walk to make sure the pace in the pull that I had was what I wanted. And I liked a really hard pull and I like to walk fast. I didn't know what I was in for though. Tuesday you go into the town and they kind of do some more things with the harnesses to make sure that you're good to go. And then Wednesday they call it dog day, and you wake up for breakfast early. Then you go back to your room, and they just start. It's 19 other people that are in this building, and they just start bringing the dogs in, and you hear your neighbors. Someone's knocking on their door, "Hey, you ready?" And you're like, "Man, when's it gonna be my turn?" And finally Jane knocked on my door, and she, as soon as she walked in, I always tell people that she says 3 words that as a father of 3 boys I've never heard before. She said, "It's a girl." And in came Nina, my yellow lab guide dog. She's back here somewhere. I don't know where she is. She's not back right there, but and I mean, it was an instant connection. It's when I say first and foremost, all these guide dog facilities out here, what phenomenal organizations, whether or not it's the Seeing Eye, which I'm partial to, or Leader Dogs, or GDB, whatever. Phenomenal organizations, what they do for the blind and visually impaired folks. Mm-hmm. Some of them have different opinions on things, which is totally fine, right? It's the way life goes. But just what they do for us and the independence they give us back is so incredible. And I'm just so grateful for all of them, but especially Seeing Eye. I was up at Seeing Eye for about almost a month with training with her. And I mean, it was just an incredible experience. I had shin splints within 3 days of walking with Nina, something I hadn't felt in 10 years. Just to be able to have that again. And my instructor's like, "You good?" And I was like, "Yeah, my all legs are killing me, but like I forgot about this feeling." It was just incredible to be able to have that independence back and just be able to work and just develop that bond. And when she's out of harness, she's just a regular dog. And I mean, that dog, she's my magnet. She's with me everywhere I go, quite literally. And
that's awesome.
Anybody who's blind or visually impaired, I would highly, highly recommend Seeing Eye, because that's what I'm partial to, like I said. But go if you can and you can swing it, get a guide dog, because they are a complete game changer.
They do so much good work in matching, is what I've noticed. When I see a guide dog user, I'll talk to them about what was the matching, what do you think mirrors you really well, and they'll just rattle off a whole bunch of things. And that's hard, right? As you said, you kind of get the walkthrough with somebody and then they go back and make their report. Those people are really intuitive about what kind of dog you need to support you and how it will match with you. And I just think like you said, those organizations do an amazing job of matching personalities to each other, and hopefully that melding happens really quickly, as it did with you and Nina.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's been phenomenal. Like you said, they're how they can just do what they do. All the instructors, especially the ones that were in my class, I mean, every one of them. And they're all amazing people. They're so nice. Holy smokes. They're just, I literally feel like I was treated like royalty at this place. I mean, it was incredible. Awesome. Incredible.
That's awesome. I know that they will be at the National Federation of the Blind National Convention that I'll be at in the exhibit hall. So if you're watching this podcast and you're thinking about a guide dog, go and see them in the exhibit hall at the National Convention in Austin, Texas next week.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yep.
So I guess, can you talk a little bit about the community? You know, since you started posting on TikTok and got the tick of approval from our Southern Belle here. How's your experience been with interacting with other people with blindness and low vision?
It's phenomenal. I didn't realize there were so many people out there with RP, especially. I know we talked about earlier, there's so many Star Guardians, but just the RPers that are out there, the RP warriors, as we call them. I've gotten so many messages and DMs and comments from people that are just explaining, telling me their stories. There was actually a guy that was my age that medically retired out of being a firefighter, the same thing. Oh. And it's phenomenal. I'm like, I thought I was the only one.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So TJ, you told me they're going to start DMing you, be ready. And, yes. and I was not expecting that one. So I hope to God he's not a bot. But I messaged him back. I don't think he is. But I messaged him back, and because he asked me, like, how are you thriving? And I told him, I said, brother, thriving is a perspective. I'm not out here making gazillions of dollars. But am I thriving because I'm happy and I'm joyful and I'm grateful to be where I am? Absolutely, I'm thriving. It's all about, it's all that mindset, and it takes years to get there sometimes, and it did for me. But the feedback that I've gotten from so many people, you know, I started following all these different folks, Allison, the disability rights, Janelle, which I know, doesn't Janelle also do stuff for this podcast? Like, she give it a rating and whatnot.
Yeah, she
gives us a review.
All right, well, let's make a quick plug for that one. Janelle, take it easy on us here. No, but I mean, there's just so many different people that I've gotten to just connect with, even just briefly. It's been phenomenal. And like I said, I mean, I was always vehemently opposed to social media, and I think when used in the right way like this, you know, it's great. And one of the biggest things that I'll try to tell people real quick, it's like, I do post a lot of motivational and educational stuff, like I said, but I am no different than anyone else that's out there.
Exactly.
And anyone out there can do what I'm doing. Anyone can get out there and push yourself daily.
I've been
I want people to know that.
Yeah, to those points, I've been really pleased to see people start to go live and do live stuff in the community. You know, TJ and I kind of come along and saw that there was a bit of a gap, and I said, TJ, hey, we should do this. I think it's going to be good. And we got, you know, so much support and feedback about how it's touched people, which is amazing. But the lives are the next things that I think, you know, can really take off and bring the community together. And I'm, you know, seeing more and more content creators who are blind and have low vision go and do lives on a regular basis.
Really?
And I love that. I always try to drop in and, you know, say hello and support wherever I can. So it's great to see that, you know, that next evolution is happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one thing I had kind of thought about dabbling in myself. But I don't know quite, because I know you can get apps to kind of read the chat or whatnot.
There's an app called Tickfinity, which is called, and Tickfinity will read the comments for you. It's a little bit hit and miss. Sometimes it misses a comment, but there are a lot of people. Jo Rose, who does lives, who was on our last episode, she uses Tickfinity, and I think Tay Noel uses Tickfinity as well when she does live. So yeah, there's definitely some creators who do that. But whilst I have you both here, Alison and I would love to invite you both to next Saturday night's live second episode of Shut the F Up, where we hope that we can have a little bit of a debate between the Star Guardians and the Harpiers.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Hey.
I'll send invites your way because I know that Jesse and Alison and Neil, they're all up for a healthy discussion about that. So
For sure. Is
Be
that
careful
this?
what you wish for taking on Allison and Jesse.
I know those two. I'm telling you what, Torbit, we have our
Isn't
work
Allison
cut
a
out for
lawyer?
us.
Allison is a human rights lawyer, yeah, and
Yes.
we do a podcast together as well, and it's very
I've seen that.
very different from this podcast. This is
Yes.
a little bit calmer. Allison and I, she's a bit of a Kiwi lover from New Zealand. She studied there for a little while, and so we have a little bit of back and forth about New Zealand, Australia, which is entertaining banter.
Is that going to be this Saturday night?
It's going to be this coming Saturday night.
Okay, good.
So I think it's 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific.
My goodness.
I mean, that's a little bit past my bedtime, but I'll make an exception.
Thank you. I'm wondering, like, half the time when I see these lives that people have sent me, I'm like, y'all know I'm old. Like, I'm already in the bed by then.
Come on.
Well, according to your video today, you're going to be on the lake all weekend. So I didn't know if you'd be on the lake at that point.
Not in the. I mean, on Friday night we did go out for a sunset cruise, but that was rare that I'm up that late. No, I'm kidding. I usually do go to bed around 9 o'clock, but I get up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock ish. So
that's why we thought we'd do it on Saturday nights, so that you don't have to necessarily get up early for Sunday.
Come on. Okay. Well, that sounds good to me. I'm gonna
pencil it in. I'll send you guys an invite to the live.
Yes, and I'll make sure
I'm in. Hopefully TJ doesn't leave me hanging on this one.
No, I'm not gonna leave you hanging. Saturday night at 8 o'clock. I'm not gonna leave you hanging.
You just keep texting her if she's not there, like I had to today when she was late. So
or bring me coffee.
Bring a coffee.
How does it work? Do you just, I've never gone live before.
So last 2 weeks ago, we had our first live to follow on from episode 1. And it was great. We only invite our friends in, so randoms can't just come in and start, trolling and stuff. And then we bring you into what we call these talking boxes, and so you can talk with each other and kind of moderate and have a format. But we have some topics that we go over, and we were doing a little bit back and forth with Jesse and Allison last week or 2 weeks ago, which was great. And so they kind of got into it a little bit. And so it's just a lot of fun, kind of is a good opportunity for our community to just come together and talk and get to know each other a little bit more. And it's just a fun thing to do. So yes, we'll give you an invite. We'll bring you up into the boxes. We'll have a debate between Star Guardians and I call you guys the tunnelers, just so you're aware because of your tunnel vision. So it's kind of like versus Star Guardians this Saturday. Looking forward.
It's not going to be much of a debate, but we'll see.
Whoa, I like that.
Shots fired.
I'm like that. Just so you know.
I am highly competitive, so we'll see what happens.
I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be great.
Absolutely.
Yes, for sure.
Any final comments or thoughts or things that you'd like to talk about, Torbit?
No, I feel like we hit them all pretty solid. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you having me on. Hopefully this, like I said, if it touches one person, we're good to go. That's all that matters.
I agree.
I appreciate, you guys. I appreciate the BlindTok community and the whole social media community. I'll kind of end it with this. For me, I always try to tell people, we're all dealt a set of cards in life. Some people may think that I'm dealt a crappy hand of cards, or somebody else may think that they're dealt a crappy hand of cards, but it doesn't matter the cards you're dealt, it's how you play them. So go out and beat the house. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Very, very true. Fantastic words. It's been great to have you on, Torbit, and thanks for putting us all together, TJ. We really appreciate your talent guidance.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm all for it.
You are all for it. All right, everybody.
Absolutely.
Farewell from season 1. We will be back in September for season 2. So if you get lonely without us, just go back and listen to the 15 episodes in repeat. And we hope you enjoy your summer. But it's been great. And, of course, we'll still be on TikTok here and there. So recording daily. All right, everybody. Take care. Thanks again, Torbit.
Take care. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
So I'm